What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Spotcallers, the wrestling show where we talk about off the beaten path, unpopular, and strange shows from the wrestling lexicon. I am Justin, and I'm here with Cyrus. You like that new intro? I've been thinking about it for a while.
We've been going through a lot of intros just in this first year.
Yeah.
Like that period of time where we really struggled to do it monthly. So it's just like, we're going to give it to you 30 days or less or more.
Let's stop. Well, I mean, we've actually done it's like 2 in a month at this point, I think. It's been 30 days since the last one. Pretty damn good in the end of the year. How do you feel about our first? Well, actually, it's a year. This is our 1 year anniversary here.
It's our first year. It's really fun to do, man. I really enjoy doing these shows. Next year, I'll probably pick a better set of shows for the people.
No, I think this year alone, we've had like some really cool shows. I think that we've done, and some really infamous shows.
I think, not like listener wise or whatever, but just like the two stinkers on the show was Championship of Wrestling from Hollywood, because I wanted to see David Arquette wrestle for some reason.
Yeah. And then Heroes of Wrestling.
Which that was your idea, but that show was funny as hell to watch.
And this show that we're doing today is also my idea, and we'll get to that in just a second. Yeah. But we are recording live to you guys on Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve.
Yeah. What'd you get me, bro?
I think that you probably already, or you're getting your gift today, I think, or you got your gift already. Don't spoil it. I haven't got my RNC Secret Santa gift yet.
I haven't got my Secret Santa gift either. When I got home, I did see a big ass box in my room, and bomb shaped. So I was kind of worried. But it's just a whole bunch of stuff I got from the hospital recently.
Yeah,
so
I
should be.
I have no clue what anyone could have gotten me. I think that RNC Secret Santa is probably my most enjoyable troll of the year.
Oh yeah,
it's just really out of pocket. But hey, we have so many great personalities in our chat and in our group that come up with these ideas. So I'm really excited to see what everybody gets. I think we're going to be revealing it on Christmas Day, I think
Neil said Christmas Eve at like 8:00.
Okay, that's perfect then. That's great. Yeah. So, where do we start? This month, we are doing ECW or WWE ECW December to Dismember 2006. One of the most infamous shows, I have to say, of all time, really, especially of that decade. For WWE, they had just revived ECW a couple of months before, about 6 months before, after One Night Stand, and they were using Rob Van Dam to be the centerpiece of that promotion. It aired on Sci-Fi, which automatically had people like, huh? Why this? And within that first couple of months, Cyrus, a lot of things had happened. One of them being, of course, RVD. I don't know if you've seen the One Night Stand 2 show where RVD beat John Cena and was a double.
Yeah, I saw that show. That show was sick.
So yes, that started, and less than a month after RVD, and of course, ECW was set to debut, and I think it was like August of that year. So right before that, RVD and Sabu got busted for having marijuana in their car.
Come on, man.
Yeah. So starting off already on a good note with ECW, Rob Van Dam had to be stripped of the title, and they handed the title off to the Big Show in place of Rob Van Dam. Of course, he was in the doghouse and had to be suspended for a couple of weeks after that, and that kind of led ECW off on the wrong foot at that point. You had things like the infamous Hammerstein Ballroom show where they had Batista on the card, and everyone was chanting "Change the channel." That was a but I mean, there were some bright spots on ECW as well. You had CM Punk, who had debuted later that year, And he was quickly becoming one of the biggest baby faces on the show. Of course, you had Rob Van Dam when he returned. He was, basically being beaten into oblivion. But you had a couple of fun matches. You had a Ric Flair match where he was in an Extreme Rules match.
Oh my god!
It's a Big Show. I don't know if you've seen that match. I think you'd love it. It's kind of like a death match.
I'm gonna put it on the say less.
It's on the network, so you can definitely check that out. So they had started building up for December to Dismember very early. I think around October they started building the card for this, basically announcing that it was going to be a Extreme Elimination Chamber, which means that all of the wrestlers that were in that match would have a weapon in their pot. So, and we'll talk about that when it comes up. But essentially, you had all of the three biggest baby faces on the show: RVD, CM Punk, and of course Bobby Lashley, who they were very much behind at that point. And you know what? For a lot of it, I could see why they would have him in that position. I think the crowd really liked him at one point during this show as well. But that leads us to December to Dismember, a show that only had 2 matches announced before it aired.
Oh man, that sounds reminiscent of, stuff that happened earlier this year.
Yeah, and people freaked out about it. And I think back then it was a little bit more scary than it was here because they didn't even have the roster to fill out a card, as you can see, December to Dismember. But they booked the show, Augusta, Georgia, December 3rd, 2006. This is the only single ECW pay-per-view during its run. The only one.
Oh, Jesus.
And right before this, ECW, was in Survivor Series. They had that really cool match with DX, CM Punk, and a couple other people, and that elimination match. But this was just really kind of the end of ECW as kind of like them giving them their own reign here before Vince took over. There were only, again, 2 matches announced for this, but even before that, the TV show was a mess. I mean, the ratings were terrible, and the creative was equally uninspired. Paul Heyman seemed to be in line and in charge of a sinking ship at that point. So let's get into the show. Essentially, how do you feel about the show before we start?
You told me that the show is like notoriously bad, and I can see why, just off the matches that they put together. But we've seen worse in this decade.
Yeah.
This show to me is on par with the first Roadblock, the one that had Dean Ambrose versus Triple H.
But I like that Dean Ambrose Triple H match. But I think I get what you're saying.
I do.
That was the one good match it had.
Yeah, just like the Elimination Chamber in this pay-per-view is the only match I kind of enjoy. If I look back at that Roadblock pay-per-view, there's probably something that could fill in the space for Eminem and the Hardys, but I can't think of it right now. But yeah, the pay-per-view is very average.
Yeah, it's a terrible show. Don't get me wrong. Let's just be absolutely clear here. The show sucks. Okay, not indicative of any of the talent there, the talent on the show, or the talent in ECW in general, was essentially them stretching Paul Heyman's ability to accentuate the strengths and nullify the weaknesses of its roster. I don't think there were many strengths to begin with a Mike Knox or a Kevin Thorne. I just don't think there was much there, So you're kind of behind the 8 ball here, where you do have to go outside of the actual brand to figure out, how to make this show work. And this show goes downhill very quickly.
Oh boy, does it!
And to me, I'll set the moment where I think it went downhill again for the fans and for everybody involved. So, the first match features 2 teams that were not even in ECW at the time.
Yeah, and commentary is this is the last time you're gonna see these guys. Oh man, you might never see these guys in ECW again. And I'm just so why'd you put them on the?
I mean, be clear here. In the match, of course, that we're talking about is Eminem, which is Johnny Nitro and Joey Mercury, and Melina versus the Hardy Boyz. mind you, let's just keep a scorecard here, okay? So let me go through this with you. Eminem were not even a team before this pay-per-view. They had reunited specifically for this pay-per-view because they had broken up a couple of months prior, where Nitro went to Raw to feud with Jeff Hardy. Of course, they were feuding over the Intercontinental Championship at the time, and Joey Mercury stayed on SmackDown because Mercury and Nitro didn't get along, so they split them up. The Hardy Boyz had just teamed back up again. Off of, this is of course after Matt had his whole deal with Edge, so this is coming really fresh off of that, just a year prior. This was of course billed as a one night only type thing, off of a challenge, a open challenge that the Hardys had at the press conference for December to Dismember, and they set this match up literally like a week before, so a couple weeks before.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. Jeff is incredibly over.
Oh yeah.
I don't think they cared about anything. Maybe Melina's entrance they cared about, but they didn't care about anything else in this match but Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, Jeff Hardy, like, one thing I noticed, like, just on their, like, them going down the ramp, they look, like, the Hardys look very hurt already. And I'm just like, man, how, like, the fact that they made it to 2019, like, God bless them. Because Jesus Christ, they look like Matt looks like Matt is walking like he walks down now during Raw. Like, he looks very injured.
We're only 5 years removed, I think, from TLC, so makes sense why he's looking like that. Like they did a lot in their first couple years with the company, and they do a lot in this match too. Like a lot of crazy stuff in this match as well.
Yeah, a lot of crazy stuff, and I was just like, ow, like just having hindsight or whatever, and it's just like, man,
maybe not do that.
Yeah, Jeff is like really, really strong.
Yeah, but I mean, to their credit, these teams have a lot of really great chemistry.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed watching this match between these two. A lot of really fun stuff in the beginning too. A lot of big spots that they pull off, like powerbomb spot. Matt doing topes.
Boy, going wild. I think when Jeff got the hot tag, man, he was just going insane for like getting rid of his stamina bar.
Oh yeah,
in quick succession.
He definitely had he was fighting with nags the whole match. And again, like you're watching really good tag team specialists here, and I think Eminem was a great team. They were definitely one of my favorite teams during this time period for SmackDown. They were just really, really good, and I think they had the character work all down. And of course, the Hardys are the Hardys, so you put them together, and you're going to get really cool stuff. And just to your point, like Jeff was really, really crisp in the 2000s, man. Like as much as we get on him, how painful it looks for him to wrestle today. Just seeing him kind of in his prime and kind of like doing all of these moves, like the Whisper in the Wind looked perfect in this match.
Yeah.
Like it looked really, really good. I really enjoyed just seeing kind of Melina as well. Like she was really like perfect in that heel position, and I think that her and Zelina Vega are two of my favorite types of managers or heel managers.
Just like their sheer like streaks,
or
just siren screams alone. Just makes like it's some really good stuff, and it's like surprisingly enough, like it annoys the crowd like a lot. So easy heel stuff you can do there just by screaming.
How do you feel about the Eminem's outfits? They're the boost fur.
When they came out, I just could not stop laughing at Joey Mercury's braids. Because, like, especially knowing that he's bald now, like, those braids must have, like, stripped his scalp clean.
Oh yeah, his hang time was crazy, but also his hairline was gone. He had the Stevie Wonder going on that.
I know John Morrison for the the boots and the fur, but it was funny to see Joey Mercury in it as well.
Yeah, it was. Of course, we're kind of knee deep in the Hardy Nitro feud for the IC title. So they of course had a lot of chemistry going on. So when they're in there against each other, it was basically what their matches look like, and they were great. And Nitro was doing a lot of stuff that we see today that's normal.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of his like the standing shooting star, things like that. Like he was doing that all the way back in 2006, and now today those are just regular things that Ricochet and like Apollo Crews do. And back then,
that used to be a special, but now it's just a standard punch.
Yeah, like it is, and you know, it says a lot about just really where the place of acrobatics and wrestling goes. It's like I could see like people like Mike Knox sucks, but like today you could be doing a lot of really stuff like that, like topes and stuff like that. Like they kind of relegated it to those guys back in the day. But as far as the match, like I thought it was really cool. One of my most enjoyable matches on the show. I thought Melina took a really crazy bump off the apron though. It looked like
just like not even like just landing. It looked like he really got her in the face.
I mean on the replay you could tell it was like a soft kick, like a soft like little nudge, but she flat backed on the freaking ground, and I was like, dog, that didn't look like it was enjoyable at all.
Shout out, she's a strong woman, so shout out to her for taking that bump. But dang, it looked like it really hurt there.
So the finish comes when Matt does a double twist of fate off of the second rope, which looked really great, but ends up with Mercury laying on Nitro and Jeff just killing them with the swanton on his back. Like it looked like it hurt.
No, that's the Indies, baby.
It looked really, really painful, but that was the finish of the match. Really, really solid matches, especially solid opener. They gave it a lot of time. This was like 22 minutes. I guess they must have known.
They're just like, let these vets, like really like structure this card while I figure out what to do for the rest of it.
Really good stuff from both teams. You know how earlier they said this was going to be the last time they would do this? They did it the next month. And in a fatal 4-way ladder match at Armageddon. I don't know if you've ever seen this match, Cyrus. This is the iconic match where Joey Mercury's face exploded after a ladder hit him in the face.
You know what? I do remember seeing this way back when just flipping the channel and seeing like a replay on a SmackDown or a Raw. I don't remember, but I do remember seeing his face just like exploding.
Yeah, it was a really, really scary moment, a really crazy moment as well. He would go on to have a face mask gimmick after that whole thing. But the Hardys and Eminem, they feuded right up to No Way Out in February of that year. So no, it was not a one-time only deal. But they did go on to face each other a couple more times. And Joey Mercury was let go early 2007. So he was let go.
He'll be rehired, right?
Yeah, he will be back around I think 5 years after that with Seth Rollins and J&J Security. There's an RVD promo. It is terrible. Moving on.
I'm not even gonna get into it. It's bad. It's garbage.
It is really bad. But at this point, like RVD just looks so drained. Like this whole year has taken out a lot of imagine having everything and then losing it all in literally 1 week
for some bud.
Well, it was crazy because he got arrested. He lost the WWE title on I think the very next because I know he lost the ECW title on TV. He lost it to Big Show on TV, and that's when Paul Heyman turned on him, and which led to Paul Heyman being the heel. I think he lost it at Vengeance. I think that very next pay-per-view, and I don't think he was supposed to lose it yet, but he lost it to Edge.
Damn.
So yeah, he lost it within a week. He lost everything. So it was actually a really crazy set of circumstances. The next match, Matt Striker versus Balls Mahoney, Striker's Rules match. Woof! Here we go.
The pay-per-view goes downhill at this point.
To you, it goes downhill, right? Like this is your moment, right?
Yeah. Okay. If it wasn't that RVD promo, it's definitely this match. I've only seen one Matt Striker match, and it was in WCPW versus I think Joe Henry, just like a British wrestler.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of not a big fan of Matt Striker. And if I was in a ECW arena and you told me these were the official rules of the match, I would be very upset.
Yeah, well, the idea here, and this would be like a huge storyline because Matt Striker would eventually join kind of like a new team of wrestlers that were against the ECW values toward the top of 2007. They would be like the big stable, and I believe Elijah Burke and Sylvester Terkey and and Marcus Corvon before he debuted or after he debuted, they would be like the new ECW guys that were the big heels. But it was kind of starting this whole story of guys in ECW that hate ECW rules, and that became a trope during this whole run of ECW.
Yawn. Like, just, yeah, man, we're gonna have ECW, but take out a lot of the extreme out of the name, and it's just like, whatever. It is what it is.
It was not good, and I think that they went to the well too many times with that style in ECW within the first year. But Matt Striker comes out, he cuts a promo. At this point, I had forgotten that Matt Striker, what he looked like wrestling, because he was actually an active wrestler here. But he sets the rules against Ball's favor, like no foul language, no weapons, stuff like that. Balls comes out, and so in order to counter this, they want Balls Mahoney out there doing wrestling moves and hip tosses.
And I hate the fact that people still use this gimmick till this day. That I guess it's like the easiest thing you could do is just like extreme wrestler can't actually wrestle, and then less than 3 minutes into the match, you find out that Balls Mahoney is a really good amateur wrestler, just has like a really good amateur wrestling background, and it's just like just negates it. Balls Mahoney isn't really struggling in the ring at all.
Yeah.
So it made me like, why even put this match together? Like, this is the match that you put on TV, and then you have the actual Extreme Rules match after pay-per-view.
Yeah, you're right. I think that there was a lot of scary moments here where it's like you don't go see Balls Mahoney match to see him doing leapfrogs. Yeah, and he tried to do a leapfrog over Striker, and he almost clipped him, and I was just like, this is just terrible, just objectively terrible, and he just looked really terrible doing all of the stuff. It's a slow match as well. I don't think Striker was necessarily the best guy to have him out there doing this with either. Yeah.
It reminded me of when Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin was feuding way back, and Dolph Ziggler wanted to have a technical wrestling match with Baron Corbin, and then he just kicked him in the nuts. And I was just like, I kind of wish that match just ended like that. It would have saved me a lot of time.
So Balls wins. He hits his finisher, and he wins. I give it 1 star. In fact, I gave the opener, which I forgot we were doing star ratings. I gave the opener 3 or 4 stars, almost.
Yeah, I gave it 3. I would give this match 1.
Yeah, I gave it 1 star. Yeah. So this is the moment to me where the show goes downhill. Sabu is seen backstage, laid out in the back, which means that he had to be removed from the Extreme Elimination Chamber. The crowd turns on this immediately, and I believe this is the point where they turn on the entire show because they start chanting bullshit and TNA throughout the rest of the next match.
Do you know the real reason why he was removed from this?
Yes. Sabu was not a favorite backstage. He was Sabu. He's a guy that's used to kind of chaotic backstage environments. He was seen as uninterested and uninvolved just in terms of things that he had to do for the shows weekly. He didn't want to do matches that didn't have violence in them. So for a large part of ECW's initial run, he was beaten, just a lot. They used to beat him down a lot, and he would just be at one point when RVD was out and he wasn't in contention, they had Sabu as kind of the top babyface there, and they had him being beaten a lot on TV. But however, he still remained one of the most popular characters on the show because he's Sabu. And they just felt as though, like, you know, they didn't need him in this match. They didn't feel as though he was serious about it. And they wanted more heels for Lashley to beat during the Elimination Chamber. So they just took him out to put one more heel in the match, because it was at one point very face heavy with having Sabu there. And it would have been, to me, a lot more interesting of a match to have all the top baby faces and Punk, RVD, and Sabu facing each other, or in Lashley as well, because it was a very face heavy match at that point. But it would have been interesting to see all of them face each other and see who would win against the Big Show, because he had essentially the deck against him, and the match they went with, it was absolutely in his favor, so it didn't make any sense at that point. So the next match was Elijah Burke and Sylvester Terkey versus the FBI, Guido and Tony Mamaluke with Trinity. They were really pushing Sylvester Terkey at this point. That's why they gave him Elijah Burke, who was a great mouthpiece, not a very great wrestler. But as you can tell, they wanted him. They saw a lot in him, and they wanted a lot from him. And that's why they paired him with the FBI, who were, of course, they were very, very elite and well-traveled wrestlers at that point. So they wanted to kind of get them over by using those guys. So that's the story there.
Cage match time. Throughout a lot of this match, I don't think the match is particularly too great. So I just opened another tab and I just did some research. FBI, no longer active. Last match, May 2018. Elijah Burke. He wrestles in Teddy Long's promotion down here in Florida.
Okay.
Fighting Evolution Wrestling. A lot of people wrestle there. Like Private Party used to be there. What is it? They were on SmackDown like during the earlier years. I forgot their name. Sorry.
Paul London?
No. Crash and the other dude.
Oh, Crash and Hardcore Holly.
Yeah. No, not Crash and Hardcore Holly. They wear the plaid skirts, and they were on SmackDown for a little bit for some reason.
Oh, the I know who you're talking about, the Highlanders.
Yeah, that might have been their name.
Or wait a minute, you're talking about skirts. You were talking about the Thrashers.
Yes, the Thrashers. Yes.
Yeah, the Thrashers. Okay.
I follow them on Instagram, and they do a lot of Throwback Thursdays, and like a lot of people that are on AEW now and stuff like that, or like were on those shows. So it's really cool. Sylvester Terkey, last match was in 2015 in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, well, he didn't last very long in the WWE at all. So he would be gone literally, I think, at the like mid 2007, I think.
He has one of those like sneaky, like really like extensive careers in Japan.
Yeah.
Like I searched up his name, and a whole bunch of like fan cam from like Japanese promotions were there. So I'm gonna take a peek at those at some point.
As far as the match, which I mentally and emotionally checked out of, I thought that the FBI tried, but Elijah and Sylvester, they were green as dog shit. Like they were really, really like, you could tell this was like a very very choreographed. You could tell like they practiced this a lot. I'm guessing they probably had this match a lot during like house shows and stuff like that in live events, but it just wasn't working. I think Elijah would improve when they made him wrestle less. Elijah did have a very, very, very long feud with CM Punk next year that would last about half of the year. And I thought that they both had really great matches with Punk, who at that point was a ring general. But right here, I just don't think that I don't think it was good at all.
I thought Sylvester looked interesting. So because like
but
right
what
now
was he
was just MMA dude.
But he was doing like big Braun. He was doing Braun Strowman spots. Like
and you know what? That's the stuff that that happens a lot out there now. Like I could see this dude at a GCW. I could see this dude being like the next PCL that everybody goes crazy for a couple months.
Yeah.
And I watching this, I was just like, man, like imagine if they brought him back for like Bloodsport or something, and like people would go absolutely crazy for him.
Yeah, I think they would. Just obscure. People just love obscure shit, and they would love him. Elijah and Terkey win after Elijah hits the Elijah experience. The crowd is dead. I think that last angle, I think that's what made the match worse. I think that the Sabu angle, it really just killed them. I think it took out all interest in them. They knew what was happening. They knew what was going on. I think there were a lot more smart fans in that crowd than they took for granted for. And I think they knew exactly what WWE was doing and why they were doing it and who they were setting the main event up for.
Yeah.
The angle continues after the break with RVD and CM Punk seeing Sabu off into the ambulance, which leads us to Daivari and the Great Khali versus Tommy Dreamer. Mind you, the last two matches we talked about, have not been announced. So imagine you're in the arena and you paid money to see this show and you don't know what's going on and you see this match trotted out in front of you. Also, mind you, this is an angle that has been going on TV for quite some time.
Oh man.
Terrible.
And like a lot of these matches are like not like pay-per-view like worthy in my opinion. Like a lot of these matches like are like second hour of TV level of like good, you know? Yeah. Or like they're not like a lot of these matches are cold, like people just don't care, and it's like it's hard for me to care, especially with the like the wrestling that's going on.
Yeah, they're TV matches, man. Like they're a bunch of TV matches. This is a big example of one, and the match after this is a even bigger example of just a match that nobody wanted to see. I put in my notes, imagine paying money to see this. Like, they announced no matches. Like this was a shock to a lot of people. Like I couldn't get involved with it. It's not a very long match. Daivari wins with a lot of BS, with a roll up, with the tights. This show got worse in record time. I didn't even rate this one. Khali comes back out, and of course you got to have Tommy Dreamer do some stupid shit on a show.
Where the bump that Dreamer took to get Khali ejected was one of the dumbest bumps I've ever sone. Just
stupid bumps. I mean, that bump, the choke bomb on the ramp. Just stupid. Like no one's gonna remember that bump. No one remembers this bump. No one thought this bump was amazing. Like over 10 years later, no one's talking about it. You know, it was just ridiculous, man. Like, get out of here with this stuff, yo. Like it's terrible. Heyman,
another awful match.
Yeah, another terrible match. I didn't even rate this one. Heyman recruits Hardcore Holly to replace Sabu. The crowd shits on this bad. The bullshit chants to restart. Can I mention that Heyman just looks tired?
Mm-hmm.
Like he looks exhausted. He looks literally exhausted right now.
I tweeted out just tweets that we're doing the show, and I just had this one screenshot where Paul Heyman just like has his like just full face palm, and it's like hilarious to me.
And I'll talk about that as well. It is. Whew. It's a lot of stuff that happens. This show is literally the reason why, Paul Heyman left, essentially. God, this next match. Did you watch this whole match?
When you are hyped up on meds and can't go back to bed by yourself, you have no choice but to sit up and endure this match.
Yeah.
This match sucks.
Kevin Thorne and Ariel versus Mike Knox and Kelly Kelly. The story behind Kevin Thorne and Ariel, Heyman was going for did we mention Trinity's outfit a couple matches ago?
No, but boy,
did you zoom?
I plead the fifth. But Melina in that first match, best believe I zoomed.
Wahoo!
But
Ariel here.
My first notes was, hey yo, Damian Priest or Dark Order need to get on Kevin Thorne's level, bruh. They need to get them an Ariel, bruh.
Well, the idea of these two came from Heyman wanting ECW to have very off the wall and counterculture ideas, more so than in the 90s. And these examples included, at the time, there were things called bite clubs where people who dressed as vampires would have parties where they bit each other. And this is where
Taz said you could catch him at one.
Taz is great this whole show. Let me just be clear. Taz is great this whole show.
Taz is wildin'.
So, of course, you had people like Kevin Thorne. You had the Zombie, which I don't know if you've seen the first episode of ECW on Sci-Fi, but the Zombie was in the first match, and it was literally a zombie that walked out and wrestled. These were the ideas that Heyman had coming into this. So, a lot of people blame, and let's be clear, man, like a lot of people blame Vince and everyone for WWE ECW and why it failed. I think everyone is to blame here. I honestly think it was a bad idea. I think that if you look at what ECW would eventually become in this incarnation, it became kind of what NXT is today. It's where Miz and Morrison had their all of their stuff going. It's where Kofi Kingston debuted. It's where Sheamus was at for a long time as well. Like it's where you bred the new stars. That's what it should have been from the beginning, but it shouldn't have been called ECW. This isn't ECW. This is something. It's not ECW.
Like, I look at old GIFs of ECW and stuff, and a lot of crazy stuff, table stuff, the Mike Awesome stuff, all that. But there is way too much technical wrestling happening on this show. Yeah. And at this point, I was just like, maybe, like, I think at the FBI match, I was just like, maybe they'll turn it up for the Tommy Dreamer match. And then they did it, and I was just like, are they saving everything for the main event? And then, like, barely.
No, it doesn't even reach that level at all. We're not even talking about this match.
Oh man.
The match continues, and be clear, CM Punk had a lot of feuds at the time, or a lot of feuds that would intersect, that he intersect in, which is why you got the Kelly thing, because Punk and Knox had I think they had 4 matches in a row where Punk beat Knox decisively, and of course, go ahead.
And that just makes Kelly turn on him.
Yeah, and Kelly was in love because she was, you see, of course, with the bike clubs, you had Kelly as the exhibitionist. So Kelly would come out every week and she'd do dances and bikinis and stuff like that.
In this match, she's more dressed than Ariel.
Well, Ariel has literally her ass out in this match.
She has this, the gothic mini skirt going on, and then she bends over on the ropes, and there's literally nothing underneath. And the cameraman is just like, you know what? This is some good stuff. Let me zoom.
So the Mike Knox Kelly thing was one of CM Punk's feuds that he was intersecting in. Of course, earlier I mentioned that he was kind of in a feud, or would be getting in a feud with Elijah Burke very soon. They had a lot for him. And of course, in being undefeated and having such a small roster, he had pretty much beaten everyone but the top level guys that were in the main event. Kelly does wish CM Punk good luck continuing that one-sided feud. I put in my notes, I'm checking out mentally. Kelly is awful. Kevin Thorne is awful. Mike Knox does he turns on Kelly mid-match, which no one gives a shit about. No one cares.
Well, people kind of care. They boo him, of course, but they don't really care. And I think the rest of my notes, Green not doing a cage match search on Mike Knox, and these are the same mixed tag rules that are implemented today. Yeah. So Why are people mad at the mixed match challenge?
I guess because they want full on intergender, probably.
Oh,
you kind of got that. You kind of got that in the Hardy's match, though.
Yeah,
Melina. But this match was terrible. Fuck this match.
This match is awful, son.
Kevin Thorne and Ariel win. Also, Kevin Thorne, I believe, would start getting beat. I think Kevin Thorne had gotten beat by Punk as well. I think at this point, Punk had beaten pretty much everyone except Holly, Lashley, and Big Show. I think he'd beaten everyone. Except for the baby faces, obviously. He had he was beating up what's the guy? Shannon the Hardy's guy. I forgot his name. He was like a Punk on the show.
Don't ask me, man.
God,
you're the historian on this one.
There was a really cool moment, and I'm going to send you the video of this. It was a really cool backstage. It was Shannon Moore. It was the guy that the Hardys had trained. He had reinvented himself as he was Matt Hardy's little lackey at one point, and then he reinvented himself in ECW as a Punk. He had the Punk hairdo and everything. Mm-hmm. And one time in a backstage thing, Punk came up to him and slapped him in the face and basically was like, "You're not a real Punk," and then proceeded to beat him in 1 minute.
Jesus,
it was amazing. It was really, 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 really I was just like, yo, they're making Punk out to be the biggest badass in the world. So Elimination Chamber.
We're not going to talk about
the last promo.
The scumbag of the earth that is Sandman coming out.
Oh yeah. I forgot. Sandman.
Being one of the most extreme things on the show.
Yeah, Sandman comes out and saves Kelly from being further beat up by Ariel, which is why are they continuing to beat her up? She's
not a wrestler.
Yeah, there's no established feud there, but they continue to beat her up. Sandman comes out and he canes Kevin Thorne. He beats him up pretty bad.
Viciously, and I was just like, this is kind of getting uncomfortable. But one of the most extreme things on the show.
Let me be clear. I thought this was the best booked thing on the show was having Sandman not have a match.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then him coming out and beating up some nobody. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was and they would have him do that during the shows. And I thought that it was spectacular. Now, as at the top of 2007, this would stop and they would actually have Sandman doing matches. So there you go. He was gone very shortly after this as well. Lashley cuts a promo with Rebecca, who I don't think she lasted long either. She was objectively awful as well in her role. Lashley, green, very green.
Man, Lashley looks the same, but somehow
he looks leaner and better now, though.
I don't know. I'll probably you're gonna have to put them side by side. But same old bald milk to head. But yeah, Lashley looks visibly scared.
He
looks like a deer in headlights.
He essentially skipped developmental. When Vince saw him, he had him pulled up immediately.
Rock hard.
Yeah, he loved him some Lashley, and you would see that in the next year with Vince actually coming down to ECW to actually have matches with him. So he was trying with Lashley at least, and it's amazing to see him now and see his positioning. They really had a lot of their eggs in a basket with Bobby Lashley in 2006.
Yeah.
Big Show looks really big, man.
Compared to your Rob Van Dam's in this match, yeah.
Compared to what he looks like today, he looked.
Big Show lost a lot of weight. Just in this, in the past 3 years. Yeah, he looks he looks a lot healthier. He doesn't have he doesn't have that big of a gut anymore.
Yeah.
He certainly looks healthier today than he did back then. So
this is the first and last, as you can tell, Extreme Elimination Chamber match. There was never one again. So you're watching a 1-of-1 when you watch this pay-per-view. I don't know if you knew that.
And you know what's funny to me is that Heyman is just this genius idea. of extreme elimination chamber, and I was just like, dog, you just took something else and you just threw some weapons in it. This isn't like a monstrous, like a mind-blowing idea.
We are going to talk about this Heyman promo in just a second. This is also the shortest elimination chamber, 24 minutes.
I was going to ask you, is this one of the shortest elimination chambers?
Absolutely. You have to remember, like, these matches go, even today, these matches go at least 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah. Thank God this match went 24. I was fading.
It's very, very short. So Heyman comes out, and he cut. When you watch this, you didn't get the context before, because you don't really know everything that was going on behind the scenes at that point.
Yeah.
It's a very eerie promo about how when Ric Flair dies, the woos go with him. But when Paul Heyman, he said, when he dies, ECW will live on. It's hard not to think that this was an allusion to the backstage issues between himself and Vince, and the fact that he was let go of the company immediately after this pay-per-view aired.
I think him saying Hulkamania dies with Hulkamania, which is probably the only thing that's going to be true.
Yeah.
I think Vince was just like, what?
It is very hard not to think that he was alluding to I think knowing that this was it for him, and that he had lost control of this, and whatever happens in this match, it was essentially him saying, I'm sorry. It was literally like, it felt like a cry for help at this point. Here, just seeing this promo and hearing it, when Heyman shouts out the Big Show, it was a really good promo. Let me just be clear there. Also, it was a good promo. But when he shouts out the Big Show, someone in the crowd shouts, "He's going to retire next year." He retired that same week.
Oof.
Yeah, Big Show said he was going to retire. This was at the point where he did not renew his contract. And he said that he was going to be taking time off. He would take time off. And I think he took about a year off. I think he came back a year later, in like 2008 at like No Way Out or something like that. He did return. What a first year for CM Punk, though. He was already in the main event, no matter how bad this was. But at this point, he was undefeated. And the sky was the limit for him. He was probably the second most over guy in this match.
Yeah, I think he was just over it. Just people being familiar with his ROH stuff, or just like his stuff on the indies in general. So everybody was like really behind him. And then, of course, everybody was behind Rob Van Dam just being ECW. I mean, ECW.
I mean, even just down to Punk's look. I mean, no one in that match looked like him. And to RVD's credit, nobody in that match looked like him either. And I think that's why people loved them so much in this role. And what happens to them is really one of the most perplexing booking decisions, I have to say, of all time, maybe. Like, it just didn't make any sense, the decisions that they made during this match. But having CM Punk there, next to Test, who looked like a freaking blimp, was just really confusing to me at that point. One really cool moment of trivia: the original two people that were supposed to start this match was supposed to be CM Punk and Big Show.
Oh wow!
So Big Show,
crazy.
Big Show and Heyman had this idea where Big Show wanted to put Punk over in this match. He said he wanted to tap to the Anaconda Vice clean.
Damn, Heyman.
Literally, and it was Heyman's idea. Big Show cooperated with it. He said he wanted to put over. He was a real big fan of Punk, and said he wanted to put over Punk really huge and make a new star in him. And he wanted to be the first person out of the match, and they wanted to be eliminated in less than a minute by Punk, just by showing, because at that point they wanted Punk to be like the big MMA, kickboxer guy, and that any moment he could beat anyone. So they wanted to have that finish. Vince hated this idea.
Oh, come on, Vince.
He mixed it immediately and said, absolutely not. This will not be happening. So that's why we didn't get that.
Oh, damn it, Vince. That would have been hard.
It was yet another example of them really not having a lot of faith in Punk. It was designed for him to essentially win this match and become the champion here. He would not become the champion until 2008, and only after Chris Benoit's incident happened, and after Morrison won the title, and after Morrison got popped for a wellness violation. That's the only time Punk won the ECW title. Yeah, really, 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 really fucked up circumstances here. But RVD and Holly to start. RVD bleeds immediately because he's just going a mile a minute. Something's up with this match. I don't know if you could tell. This match ended at 10:15 p.m. when it aired. It was the shortest WWE pay-per-view. It was $38 to buy, and it ended well under the 3.5 hour mark. So they were speeding through this.
Absolutely, and you could tell in this match, these guys are just going a mile a minute. Like Hardcore Holly goes for a really stupid spot early, which follows up with the really cool spot, which is probably my favorite spot in the show, is the Rolling Thunder into the outside. I don't know. I think the Rolling Thunder is really cool.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I mean, and I did like that they got the blood and stuff out the way early. They were like, okay, this is going to be what it is. Very weird. Like it's very jarring to me when I see blood nowadays. When it's not like accidental, like on like WWE shows. Like when it's accidental, it's like okay, we knew this wasn't supposed to happen. Here, it's just like let's just bleed. It's just like
let's get it out of the way. Let's start it.
Punk is out next, and at this point, I put in my notes. It felt like the time intervals were sped up. That didn't feel like a full 5 minutes. It felt like about 2.5 before Punk came out. Punk and RVD have a really cool moment with the spot with the chair, but
I thought that spot was sick.
It was pretty cool. You could tell that they were planning on having just a more thought out match in section than they had with Holly in there. Of course, the setup of this just makes no sense at all to me. In general, you have 2 really unover heels versus 3 really over baby faces in Lashley and RVD. And it's just like, this was never going to work unless they did what they did in this match. Of course, you had RVD eliminate Punk, which, again, this is they hated this. And they started immediately. And I think after this happened and after the next elimination happened, it pretty much, it settled that this match was not going to be put over well with the fans. How did you feel about the Punk elimination, him being eliminated first?
It didn't seem real. Like it seemed like a ref botch, honestly.
And there actually would be a ref botch.
Honestly, man, after Tess is in this match, and then they have like that 2 to 3 minute interval where nothing happens.
Yeah.
My eyes are in the back of my head.
At the time in 2006, I was with these fans. I thought it was a really terrible idea that Punk was let out, and it is really still a terrible idea that he was eliminated first. I think it softened the blow a little bit by having RVD do it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think
had it been Holly or Test, they would have threw trash in the arena.
That would have been hard.
Punk's eliminated with the 5-star. Test kicked Holly and eliminated. He gave him like the test kick and eliminated Holly 10 seconds later in a weird spot where he had kicked out, but he still lost. And at that point, I was like, okay, I could tell the ref was probably like, it's time to go home on this.
Oh, damn. Yeah, after that happened, I was just like, oh, yeah, that was a ref botch. And then, watching the show, I was overly medicated. I took all my medicine and stuff. So, like, the rest of this match is like a blur of just, like, really nothing happening.
Yeah, and really fast eliminations for an Elimination Chamber match where the whole point is you have to,
endure.
It's all about getting. Well, no Elimination Chamber really ends until everyone's in the ring anyway.
Yeah. So
that's why it was weird. It was just like all 6 of them did not meet in the ring at one time, and that's why this match didn't work for me. Test did the elbow from the top of the cell in a really crazy spot, and he eliminated RVD, which leads to that moment where the crowd can tell what's about to happen, and they're turning on it really quick with loud bullshit chants. Test is in the ring for over 2 minutes because of the timing mishap between the Holly, RVD, and Punk eliminations. I don't think those eliminations were supposed to happen that fast.
Also, I really don't think it's 5-minute intervals because they never show 5 minutes on like the screen.
Well, they show the time counting down, but they never show the time counting down to 1.
Yeah. Also, they never show it starting from 5.
Yeah.
So every time you see the timer, it's either at 3 minutes, 2 minutes, or 10 seconds.
So Tess is in the ring by himself, and when it's Lashley's turn to go out, Heyman's goons, which are wearing the riot gear, which that was the gimmick at that point, they try and hold Lashley in the chamber. Lashley uses a table to tear a hole in the roof. I didn't think too much of it, but I thought it was a cool spot just to see Lashley be a little bit more inventive than the strongman style, and it put over the Cell. Like the Cell being very strong to a point where Lashley couldn't just kick his way out of it, even though they're like, they don't do that anymore. Like the Cell, they just throw them through it in these new Cell matches. Like it doesn't even matter. Like the Cell's always getting destroyed in these matches.
Like the Cell is unforgiving steel, like 400 pounds of unforgiving steel or whatever. But those plexiglasses, weak as shit, baby.
Yeah. So Lashley beats the shit out of Tess for like a minute, and the spear finishes him, leaving Lashley to wait for the Big Show for like 1 minute.
All right. So for the for the Lashley and Tess stuff, if squint your eyes a little bit, that don't look like Roman Reigns to you.
Oh God.
Like that doesn't look like the Roman Reigns finish.
I think that actually happened. Yes, yeah. I think Roman won a couple years ago.
Yeah, like the double, like hitting both sides into the spear. You know, like I squint my eyes a little bit, and I saw the big dog.
Yeah, it was a little reminiscent. But that's because when you give all your top baby faces the spear, you gotta kind of.
Yeah, I'm not hating on it, but it was just like just squint your eyes a little bit.
A little Romanish. Yeah. The crowd is out of this match. They like Lashley. I think they don't boo Lashley altogether. Yeah. But I don't think that they like Lashley as much as they like RVD and Punk. And that's very, very noticeable. Yeah, it's very clear here. Lashley beats down on Big Show for like 2 minutes. Show does bleed. He throws Show through the plexiglass in a really cool spot. Show is giving Lashley a lot. I'm not even gonna lie. Yeah,
like all the stuff that he was probably going to give to Punk and the other baby faces, he just gave it all to Bobby Lashley in this one spot, in this one match. And I thought it was okay. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite point of the match other than the Punk RVD section, but Lashley finishes Show with the spear. I give this one star. I didn't like it. It was bad.
Oh, damn, for real, 1 star.
Yeah,
I'd probably give it 1.5. Like, yeah.
You thought you were gonna give it 3. You're like, oh damn.
No. Like, just like the save it, like, just the saving grace of like some of the spots were in the match, like CM Punk like dodging RVD's kicks into giving him a leg drop into the chair.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was hard. The spot where RVD gets slammed into the chair and then Punk like kicks it, I thought that was fire too. The Tess elbow drop was really good as well.
But you see, you're naming a lot of cool spots, but nothing about the actual match itself.
Oh yeah, no. I thought the gimmick of the weapons being in each individual pods was really dumb.
Oh yeah, it was pretty
and cool. They were hyping up the barbed wired bat, and then Bobby Lashley just tanks it with the chair, and then sidesteps it, and it never gets used.
But I mean, like the weapons didn't really matter in the end. Yeah. All that matters was the spear. Like nothing even finished with the with any of the weapons. Nothing finished anyone with the weapons. So it just ended up being just window dressing on a match that already had rules. It was already extreme. They didn't need weapons to be in it. I felt that, like, besides the obvious issues, I felt that the way that they set up Lashley to win, it was booked pretty well. I thought that it was just shitty that to win, he didn't face Punk or RVD or even Holly. Like, he didn't face everyone. He just faced 2 guys. I just felt as though, like, the way they did it was cool. It was sound, but you didn't have him, go over really anybody. He didn't really face anyone that he should have faced. Like, There should have been some adversity. There should have been him facing someone. It didn't feel like he tried at all.
Like, there should have been a point where Bobby faced another babyface in the match.
But it didn't happen. So, this pay-per-view was considered a complete failure from top to bottom, critically and success-wise. It pulled in 90,000 buys in a time where WWE pay-per-views were doing quadruple that. So Survivor Series did around 390K, for example, and this did 90K a couple weeks after. Just terrible.
That hurts. Yeah, man. This is the first time outside of the what is it? The One Night Stand. This is the only ECW WWE show that I've ever seen, and I could see why it tanked.
I mean, just the fallout from this was insane as well. Like I said earlier, less than like a day or 24 hours after that, WWE announced that Vince had sent Heyman home and said that the ratings of ECW and the creative behind it was the reason why they were dismissing him. It turns out in an interview with Heyman that he and McMahon had clashed. They had an argument after a producers meeting where Heyman was escorted out of one of the arenas and sent home. Literally the night after, he was pulled from the creative team, and Vince put the blame on Heyman for their pay-per-view, and he basically left the company after that, but he was still under contract. Heyman was essentially against giving Lashley the title. Of course, as I said before, he wanted Punk to have it, which Vince didn't like, which is interesting considering what would happen in, I'd say about 3.5, 4 years with CM Punk. But they said that, they wanted someone else to have the title. And, Heyman essentially was basically saying this was a disaster that would never work, and he didn't want to be a part of it. Tommy Dreamer and Stevie Richards tried to leave the company right after the pay-per-view, and they wouldn't let them leave. So very shades of today, where they wouldn't let them out of their contracts. But this essentially kind of marked the end of the first half of ECW under the WWE banner and what it will become, and become this really weird misfit third brand that had a bunch of characters that couldn't fit on Raw or SmackDown, and it had CM Punk, who would continue on there, and RVD would continue on, but I think that he would be gone as well. I think around the One Night Stand that would happen the next year, he would leave after that. And as for Punk, I think he was undefeated. Well, I mean, he lost here, but he was undefeated on a one-on-one match until Hardcore Holly beat him.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and he would flounder essentially on the ECW brand, not really losing too much, but losing matches that he should have won, really. And before 2008 when he would have his real run.
Okay. That's like the match where Just Incredible happened and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, no. For Just Incredible was his first match. I believe he beat Just Incredible a lot. He was beating a lot of these guys, and that's essentially where they had him at, or they slotted him at for the time being. So,
just never but he would, when it mattered.
Yeah, exactly. And he would eventually. I mean, I think he lost to to John Morrison 3 times before he finally won the ECW title. So there you have it as far as that, as far as how they felt about him there.
Foolishness.
This show is bad.
Yeah, this show isn't fairly good. I wouldn't even recommend the Hardys match with Eminem, especially since they do it on the next pay-per-view later. It's probably an infinite better match there.
Oh, the latter match is 5 times better.
Yeah, so it doesn't even really matter to me. I can't recommend this pay-per-view. Watch highlights or something.
Yeah, I would say watch a review. Listen to the review. You don't have to watch it. But one thing I can say is that people that said this was the worst pay-per-view ever, I can't jive with that. I don't think this is the worst pay-per-view ever. I think there's pay-per-views from this decade that are worse. There's TNA pay-per-views that are worse than this. There's TNA pay-per-views that had like established cards that were not just 2 matches announced beforehand, and it had storylines that were built up for months and months that were worse than this. So yeah, I can't say that this is the worst pay-per-view of all time, but
it's pretty up there.
But this was our Christmas gift to you from Spotcallers to our audience. We watch a terrible show, and we will see you guys in the new year.
Yeah.
It's been a great year of shows from Lucha to Blood Sports to December to Dismember to Stardom, and I'm excited to see where the fans of the show vote us in next year, and I can't wait to see what Cyrus picks as well. I think I got some ideas. I got some ideas for next year.
Okay, just into like a look of next year, we're probably going to be watching a lot of more Lucha stuff because a lot of people want us to see us review those. So there's probably going to be more than one Lucha show this year.
No, that's going to be exciting. And those shows are like 6 hours long, so get ready.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So as always, you can follow us at RNC Radio Live. You can follow me at OGJohnny5 and Cyrus at H_visibility on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, that is December to Dismember, and that is the last episode of Spotcallers of the year and of the decade.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. 2020, baby. A whole new mess of shows.
Very excited, very excited. I want to thank everyone who listened to the show, everyone who sent in suggestions, everyone who really loves to hear our views on everything and my historical analysis, because I lived through a lot of these shows and I really like going back to them. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. It's been an honor and a joy as always to co-host the show with you, Cyrus, and I can't wait to do more of this next year.
All right.